I've heard here this morning in front of this committee is exactly why the American people hate politics. Because the American people don't care if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you're an independent, whether you vote or you don't. They want the Epstein files and they want justice and accountability. And they don't give a damn whether or not it's Democrats or Republicans or who is implicated. They want accountability. And that is what the survivors are asking us for. They are asking us to do our jobs, to make good on the promises that we made them when they came and met with us, and to actually, in good faith, conduct an investigation. Now, I always think it's important to pull back the curtain for the American people about what happens in these committees. And I was not shocked and surprised, but I think it's important to note that when I stepped out of the committee a few moments ago, the press were huddled on the Republican side of this committee room to take statements from the Republicans. They're not out in the kind of like neutral area. They're standing outside the Republican door so that after this vote is taken, our Republican colleagues can walk out and make a statement to the press. Now, I think that that's important to note for the public here, because this is not about true accountability. Because if this was actually about getting to the bottom of this case and actually holding individuals accountable for the crimes that were committed by Jeffrey Epstein, by Ghislaine Maxwell, by the associates, and the many, many people who are implicated in this case, what would be happening right now in this committee is that Pam Bondi and DOJ officials would be sitting right there on the witness panel answering questions under oath, because they are breaking the law. They are not complying with our subpoena. They are not complying with the Epstein Transparency Act. And on the day, the final deadline, that they were supposed to release their final explanation about why they may have redacted some files, and in fact they have, as has been stated many times, only released less than 1% of the files, Donald Trump used the United States military to invade a foreign country and steal their oil. And while we're sitting here and our colleagues are trying to create a spectacle for the media, every single newspaper in the United States and the world's headline is about how Donald Trump right now is in Europe embarrassing the United States. How he is threatening our NATO allies to invade Greenland. Humiliating the United States. And I have to say, I was home over the weekend for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebrations to honor the life and legacy of Dr. King. And the question that I got over and over again from my constituents is, what is in those files that is so bad that President Trump is invading Venezuela, threatening our NATO allies, and sending thousands of armed paramilitary troops onto our streets to create violence and chaos in American cities? That is what the American people are actually asking us. And so I will be honest, Mr. Chairman, I am deeply troubled that the individuals who are the subject of today's hearing did not appear on their scheduled date. No one is above the law. But I do know, based on the correspondence, that they have been corresponding with you regularly to try to resolve this issue. But I don't believe that's what this hearing is actually about. Because if it was actually about getting justice and about getting the truth, we would have DOJ here. We would be holding Pam Bondi in contempt, and we would be hearing from the survivors themselves. And so I have to agree with my colleagues that I believe that this is part of an extended smokescreen to try to cover things up. And so I do ask my colleagues across the aisle, if you are earnest about getting to the truth and getting to justice, then bring DOJ in here and hold them accountable, because that is actually what the American people want.